Well, it's time to welcome back a member of the Utah basketball family to Utah basketball here at the Huntsman basketball facility that didn't even exist when Chris Burgess was here the last time around. We welcome back Utah assistant basketball coach and Utah basketball alum Chris Burgess to the family. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. It's so good to be, first of all, it's great to be back, just driving on campus. Walking on campus has changed, but at the same time, there's a lot of good memories and feelings of the Huntsman Center campus life, you know, being back up here on the hill.
Well, I mentioned we're sitting inside the practice facility that didn't exist even when you were on staff with Larry a few years ago. What do you make of it? Things change always, campuses grow and build, but this is pretty nice digs.
I mean, it's as good as it gets, right? I mean, you talk about when they moved to the Pac-12 10 or 11 years ago, how, you know, the resources were going to get better and better, but I mean, as a former player, I couldn't imagine something this nice, right? And it's great for our guys. I love the fact that it's 24/7 access to come in here and get shots up. Has everything they need to, you know, hang out and kind of really build such a chemistry in the locker room. I hang out here all the time as well. It's amazing. Like, these guys are spoiled, and I'm glad I can be a part of it now.
And you can tell them the old guy stories. Yeah. When I was here, Coach would have never let us have this.
Yeah, that's right. When I was here, we got one shake, and you had to get kicked out of the gym at this time. And no, it's amazing. It's such a good facility, and these guys are, you know, I think it's great for recruiting. I think it's great for current players. I think it's great for alumni to come in and see, you know, because they're part of this, right? They're helping building the Utah basketball program, and so I think it's just amazing on all fronts.
You've told me multiple times over the last couple of weeks, it's great to be back here. You haven't been that far away. You were here as a graduate assistant, and you've coached within the state mostly. You had a little bit of a JUCO journey too. So you haven't been far away. This place has always been close to you. You've been able to keep tabs from afar, but when the opportunity arose, when Craig reached out to you, what was that like? What was the process like? And when you finally got that offer?
You know, you're right. I've been in Utah, the state of Utah, the last 7 years. The Utah Valley for 4 and BYU for 3. And, you know, this place at Utah has, you know, a special place in my heart. And so I'm always keeping an eye on them. Whether we're scouting them and playing them, and when we're done playing them, I'm always cheering for them secretly, right? I'm always watching them. And so I've had tremendous respect for Coach Smith and his teams. I've gone against him when, you know, he was at Utah State, and then I got against him last year at Utah. I just have tremendous respect for him, and he's, you know, a coach that I wanted to learn from. So when he called me and offered me the job, right, they were at my mind. I'm a planner, right? So in my mind, I'm like, okay, how do I need to go about this with BYU? I want to leave on great terms. The Utah-BYU rivalry is a little different, and that you start thinking about everything. When it came down to it, like, literally, I was just like, what an amazing opportunity. Like, I get to go back to where I played. I get to go coach these young men, and I get to learn from Coach Smith and his staff. I just felt super lucky and super grateful.
These things usually come about because of relationships. Usually. Sometimes there's the rare, I'm going to go find a guy, but usually you get a job in coaching or wherever by knowing. Did you and Craig? I mean, where do you and Craig, where does the Burgess Smith relationship begin?
You know, it began when he got the job at Utah State. You know, I was an assistant at Utah Valley, and we recruit in similar, you know, areas, right, this region, and so you'd run into him at the local high school events, you'd run into the AAU tournaments, you're usually watching a Utah or a Colorado or a Vegas, California team, and just got to know him, right, really got to know him, sat down with him, picked his brain, he'd pick my brain, and so, like, we had this, you know, I felt like there was a pretty good chemistry. I'm telling you, like, when he got the Utah State job not too long ago, so I think that's a reason, right? Like, I had already kind of established a relationship, and that was just another box to check in terms of, I think, maybe who he's looking for.
It's funny because I got to know Craig obviously last year, and he and I sat here and did one of these about a year or so ago, and you know, his personality is so infectious, and people ask me all the time, you know, is that really how he is? I'm like, yeah, that's really how he is, and I'm gonna guess that personality makes it, you know, easy to kind of ease your way back in and kind of work your way back in and become a member of a new staff.
It's like what you're saying, exactly spot on. He's got great energy. He's super infectious, the way he recruits, the way he talks to our players. But even as, you know, when he offered me the job and I accepted it, right, it was really hard to leave. Like, change is really hard. And when I got the opportunity to talk to him, I FaceTimed him to accept the job. Like, his energy and the way he made me feel, my family was on the phone with me, was like, I wanted to run through a wall for him, right? Like, it was so genuine, it was so infectious, it was just like, I can't, like, Coach, can I get started tonight, right? Like, that's how the feeling was. And so, you know, there's a reason why he has success and these players, you know, go to battle for him, is because, like, you just learn to be around this guy who really cares and wants to make you a better player, and he cares about you on and off the court. That's how I felt when I was talking to him. And so, like, again, I'm really excited to learn from him and his staff as well, just as much as I am to be back home at the U.
You're a different guy as a coach than you were here last time. You're still pretty much the same guy. We all change a little bit. But where are you different? What do you bring to the staff? Why do you think Craig brought you on board? What's Chris Burgess's addition to this coaching staff?
First of all, I think that Coach Peterson is a fantastic coach. There's a reason he's now the head coach, right, in University of South Dakota. But I think I'm different. I work with the bigs, and I bring a credibility where I played your spot, right? Like, there's not many big man coaches that can look Brandon Carlson in the eye and actually the same size as him, right? And so I played a spot. I know what it's like to be in the game or to be frustrated by lack of touches. So I think I bring some big man development. I bring that. So I think that's one. I think I've done a pretty good job with the staffs that I've been on in the past in recruiting the Western United States, especially the state of Utah. Listen, whether you like it or not, the portal is real.
Yep.
And when I was at Utah Valley and other schools, we utilized the portal because at Utah Valley we weren't getting high school guys good enough. Like, we just weren't, right? But we can go get a transfer off the portal who's a little bit broken, who's trying to kind of a crooked path. And we've done really, really well there. And I think the reason I've had success on staffs is because that was me. Yeah. Right, starting off at Duke and playing 12 to 18 minutes a game and felt a little bit broken, lack of confidence, and I left to come here to play for Rick Majerus. And so I've sat in those kids' shoes, and I can speak to the transfers, and I can speak to the parents because I lived it, right? I lived it, and so recruiting, right? Any way I can help in that area. I've done. I think Coach Pope's the offense that we've run the last few years has been really, really successful, and so anything I can bring offensively to this team. Craig's motion is really hard to guard. Right, he's really hard to guard, and so I'm really excited to learn more about his motion and the way they move off the ball, on the ball. So I'm excited about that.
So as you look at the team, you've been on board for a few weeks now, and you're getting to know the guys. Again, you knew them from afar because you've scouted them for the last couple of years, but rosters turn over, and this roster's turning over as well. What stood out to you about the team and what you guys are building here right now?
Well, first, you have an all-conference guy in Brandon Carlson, and then you got a core group of kids that have multiple years left in their eligibility, so you can build off that, right? The key is to develop them as players on and off the court, make sure they feel loved, build a relationship so these guys want to stay and help this locker room and help this team and help the chemistry, right? Because it's hard to keep putting a roster together every single year, and some coaches want to do that and they've had success. But I think we have a core group of guys, whether with 2 to 3 years of eligibility. We have an all-conference guy, and then we've got some dynamic players coming in that we've signed, and then you got a senior like Marco Anthony that's a 6-year guy, an older guy, a physical guy that can help. You need that. Like, you need older guys, right? You need older guys. So I just think the core of this group, an all-conference, and then a vet like Marco Anthony, it gets us really excited about this coming season.
Chris is a basketball fan. I'm a basketball fan. He and I talk hoops forever and a day. It's the Pac-12 conference.
Yeah.
And, this is, as Bill Walton likes to say, it's not a truck stop conference. This is a big-time league, and the league's gotten better in the last couple of years. What's it going to take for this program to get to where Craig wants it to be? There's no overnight turnarounds. You usually have to build gradually. But as you look at the conference as a whole, what's the key to raising the elevation and the profile of the program in the conference?
I mean, the biggest thing is protecting your home court, right? And this is a special place. Like, this is a place where, when it's full and it's loud and, the muss is on top of you, it's hard to come into the University of Utah, in the altitude and win here. Right, so I think that's the number one thing is you got to build a team that's talented enough, that's tough enough, but they come and they protect this home court. I think that's the number one thing, right? You can take care of your home court, build some confidence. Your locker room starts to feel a little bit better about each other. Now you go and win some games on the road, right? You go and win some games on the road. But I do think the number one thing is we got to protect this home court. We got to protect the Huntsman Center, and you have to be undefeated here.
You've got a lot of good memories here in that building over there at the Huntsman Center. and you're going to try and create some new ones too. You're also a fan at the Huntsman Center these days too.
Yeah.
You've got a rooting interest not just in the basketball program here, but the volleyball program too.
Yes, came to a lot of games last year. My daughter KJ will be a freshman in the fall here on the volleyball team, and so we, her senior year, we came to a lot of games with Danny Drews, right, and that crew, and it's always fun to come back, whether you're watching volleyball or basketball. It's just always fun to come back to the Huntsman because, again, like I have so much blood, sweat, and mostly tears on that court. So that's fun. And then I get to go, come on, I get to walk 3 minutes to go watch her play when they're playing home, so I'm super excited about that. And she brings me lunch every now and again, which is awesome.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to treat her?
No, she's been bringing me lunch, which is great. I mean, we'll see how long that lasts, but she's been bringing me lunch.
Just don't do too many of the pop-ins,
That's right.
Give her a little bit of space where she needs
I've left the dorms alone. I might do some class checks based on what Coach Beth tells me is going on. But she takes care of me. Like, we're really close. Like, when you live overseas for 11 years of her, she's 17, almost 18 years old. Like, you become really close as a family because you're really all you got. And so we're really close. She's my oldest.
I asked you this a couple of weeks ago, but I'll ask you again because I think it's a really fascinating answer because you've played basketball for a lot of coaches in a lot of places. Obviously, you mentioned Mike Krzyzewski, Rick Majerus here, but you played for 15 years, I think, overseas in a lot of different places. I'm curious, of all those stops, who had the biggest influence on you when you're a coach today? And I'm sure you take a lot from everybody, but who do you think had probably the biggest influence on you today as a coach?
Overseas, I would say, so I'm going to say, like, people who had the most influence on me are my college coaches, both Coach K and Rick Majerus, because first of all, I spent a ton of time with them. I was at an age where I was growing and developing and trying to figure out who I was, both as a player and as just a 18 to 22-year-old kid. They had the most influence on me. Those are two coaches that, the name on the front of their jersey was much bigger than the name on the back. Right, and so you walked in the door and your egos were left, right? You weren't bigger than Rick Majerus, you weren't bigger than Utah basketball, you weren't bigger than Mike Krzyzewski, you weren't bigger than Duke, which was awesome. So they left this huge imprint on me that I'll carry forever. I had some really good overseas coaches. David Blatt was one of them in Turkey, right? Who's coaching the NBA. I got to play for him for a little bit, and some other coaches that have been national team coaches in Korea and Puerto Rico, Turkey as well. But I would say my college coaches, those are the times where you're just trying to figure out who you are as a kid, and they made you play the right way. They made you think about the game the right way. And those two coaches, right, if you did not sacrifice your personal agenda every single day for the greater good of the team, you're just going to run all day, right? Or they're going to drill it into you. So, like, those two coaches are in my DNA forever.
Well, European basketball, and you've told me this before, is markedly different than American basketball in the way you practice and the way you drill. If you wouldn't have had Krzyzewski and Majerus, I would guess those two guys prepared you because it's much more like a 9-to-5 punch. You're getting after it with multiple practices in Europe, right?
That's 100% true. Like I always said, I was able to play for, I think, 12 different teams overseas. And that's a lot, right? And I was always able to step right in, whether it was the fall, mid-year, end of year, and fit really smoothly, not because I was a good basketball player, it's because I was coached the right way. Right, and I'm telling you, I was coached the right way, I was taught the right way, and so it didn't matter what our philosophy was, offense, defense. I had been through it, right? Where I would get some Americans, some other players that I'd play with, and I'm like, who was your college coach? Like, why are we learning about? Like, how are you not understanding this, right? And so it's because it's a testament to them, right? Like it just is the way you treated your teammates, the way you treated your locker room and your coaching staff and your training staff. Or I kept a lot of jobs simply because I was just a good person. Right, because I understood I'm in their country, I'm a guest, they're paying me money to play basketball. Treat these guys with respect, and I'm telling you that comes from Coach K and Rick Majerus.
All right, last thing, there were a lot of people, and you know this. You have a lot of support. A lot of Utah fans have supported you, even when you went to BYU and other places, and they really wanted you to come back, and they were ecstatic when you came back. Just to kind of wind things down here, you're part of this staff. And I didn't look in the camera. Tell Utah fans why you're excited, why maybe they should be getting excited again for Utah basketball.
First of all, I am an alum. I love this place. When Craig Smith offered me the job, I believed in him. I believed in his vision. I love the support and the fan base. I know where Utah basketball belongs, and so I'm just so excited to have some sort of part in helping us as a university and a basketball team get back to where it belongs. I appreciate the fan base. They've shown me nothing but love. And any way I can help these student athletes, our guys, experience what I was so fortunate enough to experience, which is win a conference championship and get to the NCAA tournament.
It's good to have this Utah man back on campus. Welcome home, Burge.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it.